when we were when I couldn't have pets. Are
We're
we live?
live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Oh, I was start. So I was having this conversation with this woman who decided that words had different meanings for different people, and I understand. There are things like semantics and shifts and of understandings and connotations that make things a little bit different. But she was like dead set on the fact that words were completely different, and I'm like, yeah, but we still need to come to some kind of consensus in order to make meaning and have conversations that mean anything. And so after our conversation, I thought about it and I decided, well, I've been wanting a pet for so long. I've been wanting a dog for so long. And I had this little hummingbird that kept coming around. So I decided I was going to call that my pet dog. So I turned my hummingbird into a pet dog because I can assign whatever meaning I want to words. So there we go.
That
So
that
pet
Perfect.
hummingbird, pet dog. Yeah, exactly.
that
So
leads us
Greg,
right
you
into
too can have a dog. Bark.
All right. I'll
yes.
still have to bark for it though.
Yep,
So
exactly.
I do wonder if people will now search. I wonder, dog hummingbird dog might be a search term, just just to bring it into marketing. And if you don't know, um, we all love animals here. Greg's the only one without a pet, but he's got a hummingbird. Today it's Geek Speak. What in the world is happening in marketing? I have a guy on my roof who is going to make lots of noise, so I might mute myself here and there. He's got the blower going. And today we are talking about all the things happening online. So, websites, search, and social. Who wants to start? Yay, Rena!
Okay, so we have some breaking news, which I thought was kind of fun and didn't come up in our conversation the
Wait,
other day. But
Phelan, do the dee 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 dee
Yeah.
breaking straight from Facebook. Yesterday afternoon, they announced that they are going to be coming up with their own measuring tool, and it is going to be called, oh, where did I write it down? Oh, Private Lift. And it's going to be available sometime next year, and it's going to be organized again with the same pixel stuff. So the AI conversion will be used to integrate, but it's going to be its own measuring thing with its own privacy stuff.
Wow.
And so that should be fun. And I guess that's what is going to be replacing Insights, because I know that everybody's been getting little notices saying that Insights is going away, but it never really does go away.
Mm.
So that's probably where we're moving towards, is having its own tracking. So I don't know how extensive that's going to be, but that'll be interesting.
That'll be interesting with any sort of integration because, I mean, we do have trouble with
Yeah.
Facebook and accounting for the information properly in Google Analytics, right? Because you have to use
Yes.
UTM parameters. Um,
Yes.
that's. We also saw some other news in Facebook, which was really interesting. Did you guys check it out? There is a podcast button on some
Yes.
pages. Is that for everybody, or just am I super special?
Well, and
Yes.
to be clear, we found it on our business page at Seymour Digital Media, our business page in the back end. We found it as a tab. And apparently it's about finding a way for you to have engagement with your podcasts where people could leave comments and leave notes about things that they liked or things they may have disagreed with. And so it's an interesting mechanic that I think might work well, because they don't really have a way to leave comments or you to engage with it as you make content, and then the listener, you get to engage with them other than tweeting at them randomly, but that's not really as effective as a timestamp.
Yeah, so I was looking at that. I think that I wonder if that's going to be replacing the lives or rooms, or how those three things are going to be completely separate. Do you know what I mean? Like they all seem to have similar functions. And I think that that also is related to that. I was telling everyone on this call earlier that I was invited to participate in a piece of research where I get to run courses and have a suite of tools that Facebook is offering for courses. So I'm really looking forward to testing that out and getting to report on my findings for that. But I'm wondering if this is where we're moving towards, because last year we talked a lot about how groups were going to become super important in Facebook. Like that was a big lead up. They started to add analytics on groups, and they started to, and you could still get pretty good algorithmic push in groups. And there was kind of like this hinting that something fantastic was going to be happening with groups. And I have a feeling that it has to do with this new course launching research thingy that I'm going to be doing.
That's interesting because that's a big part of the pie.
Yeah, but you can imagine that Facebook would want to be right in there on the education industry. That's a huge industry online.
What about a
Yeah.
CRM?
Yeah.
Why isn't Google or Facebook doing a really good CRM? Like, come on.
I know, right? That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. What is in the works, Facebook? Tell us now.
Yeah, right? Because they have all the information there.
Yeah,
Well,
and
they,
they're moving.
they
Oh
do
my
kind of have
goodness.
their workspace, Facebook workspace, which is kind of like their Slack CRM system. But
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know a single person who uses it other than they use it internally. But other than that, I don't know anyone who uses it.
Right.
Am I
And
the only one of the four of us that sort of want less Facebook?
no, you're not. Everyone wants it to break up, and it will break up. That's probably what's going to happen. But just along those lines, I just have to interject because I almost completely forgot. Yesterday, I found some information that Facebook is going to be renaming itself, rebranding itself, because it wants to move away from being seen as a social media site and move away from all of the problems that it's been having with privacy and its reputation. It's rebranding, and it's going to be much more than social media. So I feel like the CRM is on its way, the education part, and also I feel like there's going to be some breakups in terms of the how Coca-Cola had to do that in the, what was it, the 40s or the 30s. It was ordered to break up because it was too big of a corporation. I feel like that's where we're moving.
Well, that's so Amazon, Facebook.
Yeah.
That's so interesting if they'll make that happen. What happened
Apple.
to Rockefeller was made to do that, and the only reason
Yeah.
I know this is because of Phelan, just so y'all know, and and he became the uber richest. So he was rich, and then he
Well,
was the richest because of the split up.
Because he had to sell everything. Is that how it worked? Did he sell it, or
no,
did he?
what happened? So basically, it's also the same issue that you would have with Facebook, where basically you had one extra large company called Standard Oil, and it got shattered into 30 smaller pieces, which each one of them actually still exists to this day. So Exxon Mobil was one of them, or Exxon and Mobil were two of them. I think there was anyway, but basically them becoming 30 smaller pieces allowed them to all grow, and then he still had ownership over all of them. And so instead of having one large company, he
Oh,
had
he still
30
had
large
ownership.
companies.
Oh, so that doesn't really make much sense. Why would he? Okay, when I think of someone having to break up their company, I think of them actually being removed from ownership.
Yes, that was what was supposed to happen,
I
but they didn't.
see.
And
I
so
see. I didn't
that was
know
the
that.
fault of it. So yes,
Oh
when you're breaking
man.
up large companies, remove ownership of the large companies as well. They did not do that.
So some
No.
very rich people might not be happy, but back to marketing. No,
Yes.
I'm not seeing us in the Facebook group, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe you guys are. Okay, so we have a lot of Facebook news, and we need to keep paying attention to that. And Rena, I definitely want to hear about your experience with the courses and stuff, and because that's huge money.
Oh
Now,
yeah, I'll be blogging on that for sure.
right? Awesome. Ooh,
Yeah.
who doesn't love
So
a good
one
blog?
one thing that Pip and I came across when we were doing just brushing up on any of the news today is there's one big piece, which is PayPal is putting out $45 billion to try and buy Pinterest,
Oh,
which
interesting.
is a lot of money. I'm very curious to see how that's going to work. So that one is definitely interesting, and we'll keep tabs on that.
Especially.
The other thing.
Oh, go on.
Oh.
Sorry.
I was just going to say that there was news that came out today that the plugin WP Fastest Cache, which has apparently 1 million downloads or installs, has a vulnerability which will show your passwords. They say.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh
so
good. That's not one
definitely,
I use. So we
definitely,
can't.
WP Total Cache, big proponent, love it. Fastest Cache, not good. There's a security issue, so.
Right. So watch. I mean, if we had like, I mean, I wish we could see our audience. It doesn't look like anyone's there. They're probably all running off, Phelan, to go change that right now,
I
right?
would,
Yeah,
yes.
actually,
It's only one.
I confirmed we are actually not live in the group, but we are live in Seymour Digital
It's
page.
We're
interesting.
So
also we're live on Littleworks too. So
And it
yeah,
says
Yeah.
we're live. It says it's sending data. Oh, because I checked it. That's so it's not working. Okay, well that's okay. We'll share it in the group after. And
yeah.
breaking
Yeah.
news:
breaking.
PCAN doesn't work sharing to groups.
Well,
Everybody update now.
right, everybody
Yeah.
knows now. So if you are catching the replay, know that's what happened.
Oh, Glenn is here. Glenn is here. I got an
Cool.
I hear Arena from Glenn. Oh,
Yay,
that's good.
Glenn.
Oh yeah, she's watching from Littleworks.
That's
Right
awesome.
on.
Just in case anybody's interested in knowing, we use something called Restream. However, we bought a different one because we got lifelong access. So we'll be again trying to learn some technology about this. Because Restream's cool. So yes. Anyway, back to marketing. What else do we have? We have
Yeah, to keep going on the web stuff that Phelan started with, I mentioned it's pretty quiet in the WordPress world right now. They're probably just working on their full site editing stuff to go with the next version that will be sent out. Other than that, thanks, Phelan, for putting out that quick update for WP Fast Cache. That's important that everybody gets that updated.
Yeah.
There was
Absolutely.
one other thing that I had mentioned to you guys, and this is probably something that's more meant for either agencies or people who are building websites for their customers in the group, not the individual person who has a website. It's a plugin called Project Huddle, and what it allows you to do is to communicate with your developers and clients, and actually allow them to post little notes on any of the pages, any section of a page about what the client wants to be changed. With an image, they can upload assets, PDFs, images, and things like that, even documents, and write a note about what they want changed and mark the spot they want it changed. So it's something that would make anyone who's developing sites for clients, it would make it quite easy to collaborate and get those changes from your client.
well, how do you guys do it now? How are you like? How does the client? It's just email back and forth, right? So that might be really handy.
Yeah, I mean it's super handy, yeah, because everything right now is either they call me on the phone and say like this, change that, and I'm like writing notes, or preferably I tell them, can you email me your changes, and they will just look through the site, prepare an email, and send me that email explaining what they want done, and attach any new images or any other assets I need to put into the site. So it basically puts that directly on the site, where the client, as they're reviewing, they can just click on something and make a note. And when they submit that note, it'll trigger an email to me, and so I can go into the system and see what the client is telling me to make changes on.
Now, do you guys, are you guys intending to try this? And you won't probably tell us this, but do you have an idea of the first client you'll try to do this with? Ooh.
I have not decided when I'm going to try this yet. I'm kind of too busy at the moment to work on something new to try. So maybe when I'm a little bit less busy, I'll look into it and test it with someone. I'll probably test it with an existing client who has been with me for a long time and just say, hey, let's try this out as a new form of submitting change requests and things like that.
Ooh, I want to hear about this in the future too. So what is it called again?
Project Huddle.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that sounds fun. I, much prefer not to build websites, so just leave that to the other professionals. Websites are very dear to people's hearts, right? It's like their child, almost. I do
true.
feel that way, right? Um, so yeah, websites always something going on. I haven't heard anything about Shopify lately. Have you, Phelan? Oh, your sound is not working.
Sorry, there were growling dogs, and so the sound had to be muted, as because it wouldn't have been fun for anyone. So Shopify is apparently they have partnered with a couple of large ERP solutions. So anyone doing Shopify Plus and needs to integrate into their ERP solutions, apparently they're going to be building one directly. So that was a big news. Going off of Shopify and the future of e-commerce, YouTube announced today that there's going to be live shopping as well as product integrations. So this is coming out of their deeper integrations with things like Shopify and building that part of the platform where it'll connect with Merchant Center account, that you can start to do having your products more integrated into videos that you're making. So I think that's going to be exciting to see how that shapes out.
The future's crazy for marketing.
The
Like,
future is crazy.
if you
Yeah.
wanted, so we have a new client that's a lawyer. I'm very excited about, and we were talking about industry changes. It's one of the questions we ask on our onboarding call, and she's like, "Yeah, it's very slow industry, rarely changes." And I was like, "Wow, wouldn't that be
That would
nice?"
be nice.
So, speaking of breaking changes, um, Google My Business. I think we found this. I think you guys might have been with us, but if you log into your Google My Business with your business email, so your business email has to be attached, so it can't just be a Gmail. But if you log in with your business Gmail, which was very weird to figure this out, you will have the option inside your Google My Business to turn on call recording. Not recording the actual call, but recording that people called, and you'll be able to see phone numbers of missed calls and just the phone numbers of calls you've actually picked up. So it would be people calling from their phone, clicking on that Google My Business button, right? So wow, is that ever neat? But you have to log in with a business email. So that was top priority for breaking news for Google. And then remember how we talked about, I think last month, about how the search results there was an indent with a second URL. So you had your main, like when you searched in Google on the search engine results pages, you got like one snippet, and then a little lower you got another snippet of the business with the URL, and it was just indented. Did you guys see that, or do you remember that? Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of if I thought something below was always indented, but maybe
Um,
it's.
it's weird though. It's not like, okay, so when you show up at the top of the page, like you're the first result, and you get your like contact us and about page and blah blah blah, whatever Google's indexed. This is different. It's just like it's another snippet.
Hmm.
Like a meta description, title, and URL, and that's it. And it's rolled out to 40% of people now. It's actually, I guess they're keeping it. So, so it gives you a little bit more room on a page technically. And if they're doing that all the way down, I think it means that there'll be half as many search results. They like to keep it to 10 a page, not including all the extra bits, right? So, well, that was really interesting. I know, I get really excited about SEO stuff, and everybody else is like, yeah, that doesn't sound like a big deal. Oh, you guys have a big algorithm update information. Phelan, what was that?
Yeah, so it is what is the name of it again?
Yandex?
It's like so it was created by it was a project started by Yandex, the Russian search engine, and they partnered with Microsoft to create a new
Oh, it's a new
It's called
search protocol,
well, indexing protocol, and
indexing
it's open
protocol.
source.
Sorry.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm trying to get the name. It's like Index
What does
It's
that
Now.
mean?
Index Now.
Index Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What?
what it's doing is it's supposed to like keep tabs on all pages and then be doing, I guess, some diffing to see if there's any changes, and it's going to be faster, and it's supposed to have less crawl time. Right now, a lot of the SEO community is a little unconvinced by it, so I
I
think
think
there's
it's not something that will connect and pull. It's something that you can push to notify through this
yeah,
protocol that there are changes or new pages on your site. So it's a
yeah,
quicker way to index instead of the search engines having spiders and going out and crawling the internet. This is an indexing protocol that they're working on so that you can connect with your website or other services. And when you have a change or you have a new page, you will be able to just submit it to the search engine indexing.
okay. So it's more, you're being more proactive than reactive on your
Yeah,
indexing.
yeah.
Okay.
And
All right. So
I've I've seen that it's already picked up by Wix. CMSs like Wix and Duda. Cloudflare is also supporting it. A couple of other big companies are also starting to use it as well.
Interesting.
As of yet, Google has not jumped on board to help with the project or say that they're going to embrace it in any way. And also, WordPress has um, had some discussions on it, but has not yet decided whether or not they are going to participate either.
Kind of interesting, eh? All this stuff. So what is it? So what is the difference between using this and using submitting a sitemap on Search Console with Google? I mean, it's fast-ish.
Well, it's an individual page, and you can integrate it directly into your site to, when you update your page. I'm assuming what this will also have is some way to just like click a button and submit that URL to be indexed in search engines.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I guess when you submit a sitemap on Google Search Console, it's only for Google. So.
It's for Google, and also it's just a map for them to be like, hey, we have these pages, come and index them.
Come and see.
It doesn't get indexed, whereas this is my new page. Submit it to be indexed
Mm,
to the different search engines.
we're gonna have to follow that. There's some really interesting news today where we're gonna have to follow this information. It's not like it's not a just one-stop shop. It's kind of interesting. There's, I think, one last thing that I know about. Phelan and I were laughing about this. So we all know that Google Ads is taking away the expanded search, expanded ads, which they brought in 5 years ago, as I recall. So they're getting rid of those, and so Microsoft has followed suit. And their reasoning was, well, Google did it, and we all know you just click a button to move your ads over, so this will benefit you. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Lots of little changes. Are there any other things we missed, or is that it for this week on the marketing? Da, da, da.
I think I don't know. Other than, did you go through all of your SEO stuff? I guess you did. Yeah, we got 5 minutes to spare. Let's chit chat.
Yeah. Well, there's what is it? There's the 3 strike you're out thing with Google Ads. It's actually called Google Bowling.
Hmm.
Do we not see the ironic like Google?
Yeah, because 3 strikes.
Yeah, but
Three
still,
strikes, you get a turkey.
well, you get it's scary for a professional that works in that industry, because say you work with a company that isn't supposed to necessarily be on Google. Um, does that mean if their account gets banned, do you get banned? If your MCC account is attached? Not that we should all
Hmm.
work on, those gray businesses. So, for instance, anything in the CBD realm is heavily regulated, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think Botox is another one. We learned this year ticketing. So with Google Ads, there's
A
if you
third party ticketing to be exact. So if you have an embed for Ticketmaster and you're driving traffic to it, you need to actually officially have a sign off that you're allowed to be selling these tickets on your website. And there's
Uh,
like a whole submission process for it, um,
however,
which was
oh, go ahead.
not surprising considering the rent seeking behaviors that Ticketmaster usually does. So I wasn't surprised by that, but it's something to know if you are going to advertise on Google.
Well, and it was
Mm.
strange because it's only if you change your landing page. Do you wonder how we figured this out?
Found
Right?
that out, found that out the hard way.
Yeah, we changed the landing page, and then bam, like I just whole bunch of red flags went off, and the account got suspended for a second, and like we had to fill out a form that said we were allowed to do this. It was the ins
Hmm.
and outs of Google Ads. So not you. It's so hard to know every industry and if there's rules, right? Like in Canada, I don't know if you guys know this, liquor because of Quebec, you can't sell liquor through Google Ads because you
No,
can't.
no, getting it approved on Google Merchant Center account.
Yeah,
That's where we're running into issues because it automatically tries New Brunswick, Ontario, and Quebec. It will just automatically go through a process that it's added to cart and does like a trial run to see if it can get there. And if it you can't get it in those three provinces, they just say no, you can't have it at all.
because
And
it
it's
has to.
basically impossible to get anything sold in Quebec because of their regulations and they're just a separate bureaucracy.
Yeah,
So that
fun.
was fun. That was a fun one.
Yeah, thought that was really
That's
interesting.
why I always love seeing the small text below things. This does not apply in Quebec, or like people in
Yep.
Quebec can't participate.
Well,
Oh yeah. That
also
it's impossible to do a bunch of stuff in Quebec. Like they just make it so hard.
Most of it is the language, though, because it has to
No,
be
no,
in
it's
French.
because
So,
it's because they never ratified the 1982 Constitution, so they technically aren't part of Canada. So their bureaucracies are parallel and share a lot of the tendencies, but are technically separate. Which is why liquor
hmm.
distribution, games, gambling, really hard to get anything done in Quebec,
interesting.
and it has a parallel bureaucracy that just is technically part of Canada, but also not part of Canada. So it's the
So
joys of
therefore, their
yeah.
advertising rules are going to be
So
different.
can I say I was actually not born in Canada?
Uh,
That
technic
it, maybe if you're a second.
No, because the supernatural national issuance of your nationality is not tied to Quebec.
Interesting. You were born in
Yeah,
Quebec, Greg.
yeah.
I was born in Quebec and I lived there for 22 years.
Well, we're glad you're out here now.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
am I.
the good place, the less cold place, right? So, lots going on. Oh, last but very not least, guys, do you remember what happened this month in on Facebook?
oh, the
Oh
outage.
God, yeah.
No, the Facebook outage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yes. This is they are what happened to them. Supposedly, the report is that had a physical server that was running all of their DNS. So rather than having a third party who had it decentralized, they had it all on one platform,
So
and the power went out.
just to interject for those people that aren't familiar, DNS means that all of the records that are associated with your domain name, and what it does is it helps connect information, and send people to different places. Um, so basically, your domain to your website. So if you think of Facebook as a giant website, and then the DNS needs to be organized to send people to different places, it's in the same spot as where the website is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like an address book. That's the way I always think of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
That's a
says,
good
"Oh,
that's a
if
good
I type
metaphor.
this into the browser, it's going to
It'll
take me
take
to the
you there.
string of numbers." And so that's kind of how they organized that part, and they left it all in one room that had power outage, and apparently the RFID cards that you need to go in wouldn't work either. So
They had to be
uh,
built
the,
in, right?
He supposedly, yeah, they had to go to the like Home Depot and get like a power drill to like break into their own server farm just to literally flip a switch because they managed to get power back up, like backup power, and they had power running in the room, but they just needed to turn it off and turn it back on again, and they just had no way to get in there. So yeah,
Well, it not only
decentralizing it is
it
good.
was Facebook, WhatsApp,
It
Instagram,
was all
Oculus.
services.
So Oculus, so anybody who is a VR game, a whole portion of that business just fell off. There's so much money not
Yeah.
going around
Well,
in like an 8-hour, what was it, 6-hour time period. I think it was like.
well, they literally left 1 billion people without a way to communicate because most of the global south uses WhatsApp, and it wasn't running. So, like, most people's mode of communication was down across the world, which is
I wonder how many people had an
interesting.
awesome day and how many people had a terrible day.
I remember
yeah.
the day well because I got a lot of work done.
Yeah, me too. Okay, we are out of time, but do you all know what we're talking about next week? It's very exciting.
I do.
What?
Tell me, Pip.
Making time to market with Pip and Rena.
Oh,
yes. Then I guess I better know.
right. It's funny because I was looking at the one in November and I was all excited about that. But making time to market is, well, that's what we do, right?
It's true.
Yeah,
All day, every day.
That's all we have time for.
Right? It's true. So we will see you guys next week. If you are joining us and you are finding us on YouTube or somewhere on Facebook, know we have a Facebook group called Cyberpunk Marketing Geek Mixer. And come and join us there because we're all talking on the inside over there. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.